The Krillian War Council had been unanimous. The human leader had to die. Ambassador Zethkar adjusted his ceremonial robes as he watched the holographic display flicker with tactical data. 3 of the galaxy's most feared assassins had been dispatched to the human homeworld. The umbral shadow capable of phasing through matter itself, Nexus 7, a cybernetic killing machine with reaction times measured in nanoseconds, and Vexthalan, the poison mistress whose toxins could kill entire star systems. Each had cost the Krillian Empire a fortune. Each was worth it to eliminate the one human who had united Earth's fractured governments and turned humanity from a curious spacefaring species into a legitimate galactic threat. Now 47 standard hours later, only one had returned. Vexthalan materialized in the council chamber through the quantum transporter, her usually pristine carapace scarred and cracked. Her forearms trembled as she collapsed before the War Council, mandibles clicking in what the universal translator registered as barely coherent terror. "Report!" Zethkar commanded, his voice echoing through the obsidian chamber. They're not what we thought," Vexthalan gasped, her compound eyes darting around the room as if expecting an attack. "The human leader, Marcus Chen, he's dead?" High Commander Vorthak leaned forward, his massive frame casting shadows across the cowering assassin. "No." Vexthalan's voice dropped to a whisper. "Alive. Very much alive. And the others? Nexus 7 and the Shadow, they're gone." The council chamber fell silent except for the hum of the station's life support systems. "Explain." Zethkar's patience was wearing thin. Vexthalan pulled herself upright, though her trembling never ceased. "We infiltrated the human government, complex on Earth. Nexus 7 took point, using his enhanced sensors to map the building's defenses. The Shadow phased through the outer walls to disable security systems. I prepared my most potent neurotoxin. 1 drop could have killed a Thraxian." "Behemoth." She paused, mandibles clicking rapidly. "The humans knew we were coming." "Impossible," growled Commander Vorthak. "Our intelligence network is—" "They weren't waiting with weapons or shields," Vexthalan interrupted. "They were waiting with curiosity." The War Council exchanged glances. In their centuries of conquest, curiosity had never been listed among defensive strategies. The human leader was in his office alone, reading what they call a book. Physical information storage, archaic but functional. When Nexus 7 burst through the door, combat protocols engaged, weapons charging. Marcus Chen looked up and smiled. Vexthalan's voice cracked. He smiled and said, "You must be here about the treaty negotiations. Would you like some coffee?" Coffee? Zethkar had heard of the human stimulant but failed to see its tactical relevance. Nexus 7 was confused. His combat algorithms couldn't process a non-threatening response to an obvious assassination attempt. Chen stood up, slowly, no sudden movements, and walked to a beverage dispenser. He prepared 3 cups of this coffee and set them on his desk. The assassin's breathing became more labored. Chen said he'd been expecting us, that he knew the Krillian Empire would send killers rather than diplomats. He said he understood why, that fear makes people do terrible things, and that humans had done terrible things when they were afraid too. "Then why didn't you complete the mission?" High Commander Vorthak's voice carried a dangerous edge. "Because he asked us to sit down and talk." The silence that followed was deafening. "He asked about our homeworlds, our families." The Shadow tried to phase strike him twice, but Chen just moved. Not with enhanced reflexes or combat training. He moved like someone who expected the attacks and had already decided they weren't important enough to worry about. Vexthalan's compound eyes focused on something beyond the council chamber. "He told us about human history, about how they'd spent millennia killing each other over resources, territory, ideology. How they'd developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet multiple times over. How they'd learned to choose cooperation over extinction." "Weakness," spat Vorthak. "No." Vexthalan's voice carried absolute certainty. "Strength. The strength to choose peace when war would be easier. The strength to offer coffee to assassins." The strength to unite a species that had every reason to remain divided? She continued, her words tumbling out in a rush. Chen showed us recordings from their history, wars that lasted centuries, weapons that could melt continents, entire cities, vaporized in seconds, and then they stopped, not because they were weak, but because they were strong enough to be better. The War Council shifted uncomfortably. Nexus 7's programming couldn't handle it. A target that refused to be a target. An enemy offering friendship. His neural networks overloaded trying to reconcile the data. He shut down permanently. Just collapsed. And the shadow? Vexathalan's mandibles clicked in what might have been grief. The shadow asked Chen why humans stopped fighting each other. Chen said, "Because we realized that the strongest thing you can do is choose not to use your strength to hurt others." The shadow laughed, said it was impossible. Chen asked if the shadow wanted to test that theory. The assassin paused, collecting herself. Chen walked to his wall display and activated something called Global Defense Grid Status. Every weapons platform on Earth, every ship in their system, every strategic asset, all online, all targeting our insertion point. Then he said, "I could have killed all three of you the moment you entered Earth's atmosphere. Instead, I made coffee." The shadow tried one final attack. Chen didn't dodge this time. He caught the shadow's blade with his bare hand. It should have been impossible. The shadow's weapons exist partially outside normal space-time. But Chen held it like it was just another tool. He said, "Killing you would be easy. Helping you find a better way is harder. Humans prefer doing hard things." Vexthalan's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. The shadow just faded away. Not phased. Gone. Like he'd never existed. Chen said the shadow had chosen to become nothing rather than accept that someone could be stronger. Through kindness than through fear. The War Council sat in stunned silence. "And you?" Zethkar finally asked. "He gave me a choice. Return to you with a message or stay and learn what humans call hope. I chose to return because..." She looked directly at each council member. "Because you need to understand what we're truly facing." Which is? A species that became apex predators in their own galaxy, then chose to become gardeners instead. A people who developed the power to destroy worlds, then decided to build them instead. They didn't send armies to greet us, they sent their leader alone with coffee and conversation. Vexathalan straightened, her fear replaced by something approaching awe. "We sent assassins to kill their leader. He sent us back with an invitation to dinner." The War Council chamber fell quiet except for the sound of Zethkar slowly removing his ceremonial weapons and placing them on the table. "Draft a message to Earth," he said quietly. "Tell them we accept their invitation." Outside the council chamber, across the vast distances of space, Marcus Chen finished his coffee and prepared another pot. He had a feeling he'd be having more visitors soon.